So, Alexander the Great dies in 323 BCE without naming an heir, which is a fantastic way to ensure your life's work immediately descends into a decades-long cage match. His generals, the Diadochi, decided the best way to honor his memory was to carve up his empire like a Thanksgiving turkey. Plottily, the cautious one, grabbed Egypt because it was rich and had convenient deserts for borders. Seleucus, the ambitious one, got the leftovers, which was basically Asia's comically vast, unmanageable territory full of people who had absolutely no interest in being ruled by some guy from Macedonia. This wasn't the dawn of a glorious new era of cooperation. It was the world's most violent group project, and everyone thought they deserved to be the group leader. In Egypt, the Ptolemies had a master plan: build a perfect, gleaming Greek city right on the coast and pretend the rest of the country didn't exist. Welcome to Alexandria. It had the Great Library, an obsessive attempt to collect every scroll in the world, and the lighthouse, a skyscraper-sized beacon just to show off. This was the ultimate cultural flex, a Greek Disneyland built on the back of Egyptian grain production. And to smooth things over with the locals, they invented a god. Literally. Serapis was a divine mashup of Greek and Egyptian deities, designed by a committee to be just palatable enough for everyone. The ancient world's first case of corporate rebranding. The Seleucids, ruling over Persia and Mesopotamia, had a much trickier job. Their solution was to sprinkle Greek-style cities, or polis, all over the place. We're talking theaters, gymnasiums, and agoras in the middle of modern-day Iraq and Iran. They founded cities like Seleucia on the Tigris, hoping Greek culture would just sort of leak out. It didn't. These cities were islands of Hellenism in a vast ocean of ancient, unbothered local tradition. Just imagine a Babylonian astronomer whose ancestors had been mapping the stars for centuries, watching a bunch of Greek colonists get very excited about discus throwing. The apathy must have been staggering. Then there's the weirdest outcome of this whole mess, the Greco-Bactrian kingdom, in what is now Afghanistan. These were the descendants of Alexander's soldiers, completely cut off from the Mediterranean. Left to their own devices, they did something shocking. They adapted. They started blending their culture with local Indian and Buddhist traditions. Suddenly, you have coins showing Greek kings with Buddhist symbols. You get statues of Heracles acting as a protector for the Buddha. The Indo-Greek king Menander I famously held deep philosophical debates with a Buddhist sage. For a brief moment, it was a genuine fusion, not a hostile takeover, a historical glitch in the matrix of cultural conquest. Of course, not everyone was interested in a friendly cultural exchange. Enter Judea, a tiny province caught between the Ptolemies and Seleucids. Within Jerusalem, a bitter debate was raging. Some urban elites thought Greek philosophy, fashion, and athletics were the future. Others saw this as a complete betrayal of their ancestral traditions. It was a cold war between the Hellenizers and the traditionalists. This delicate, angry balance was maintained until the Seleucid king Antiochus IV Epiphanes arrived and decided the best way to solve the argument was to set it on fire. Antiochus IV gave himself the nickname Epiphanes, meaning God manifest. Behind his back, people called him Epimanes, the madman. This should tell you everything you need to know. He looked at his diverse, unstable empire and landed on the worst possible solution: forced cultural unity. In 167 BCE, he banned Jewish religious practice and, for the grand finale, erected an altar to Zeus in the Jerusalem temple. This wasn't just offensive, it was a catastrophic failure of political imagination. He thought he could create stability by making everyone the same. Instead, he triggered the Maccabean Revolt, a brutal guerrilla war that permanently poisoned relations and helped shatter his own empire. A real strategic genius. Back in Egypt, the Ptolemies were more subtle, but the resentment was just as deep. They performed the rituals of the pharaohs for public relations, but the administration was a two-tiered system. Greeks and Macedonians got the good government jobs, the land grants, and the favorable legal treatment. Egyptians paid the taxes. This predictably led to massive native uprisings, like the Great Theban Revolt, which lasted for 20 years. They even crowned their own native pharaohs in defiance. It demonstrates that you can wear the crown of the pharaoh, but that doesn't mean the people won't notice you're speaking Greek and paying your friends first. So, how did this all work on a daily basis? Koine Greek became the language of business, the English of its day. If you wanted to get ahead, you had to speak it. But local languages didn't die. In Egypt, the ancient language just swapped its hieroglyphs for the Greek alphabet and became Coptic. It's the ultimate passive-aggressive linguistic compromise. The gods also got thrown into a blender. This is called syncretism. Is that the Greek god Zeus or the Egyptian ram-headed god Amun? Don't worry about it. He's Zeus Amun now. It was a theological free-for-all, creating hybrid deities to try and keep everyone vaguely happy. Just as this messy, chaotic, and occasionally creative cultural soup was reaching its peak, a new power showed up from the West: Rome. The Romans had been watching all this with great interest. They loved Greek culture, the art, the philosophy, the literature. They were far less impressed with the constant infighting, dynastic squabbles, and general political incompetence of the Hellenistic kingdoms. So, being ruthlessly pragmatic, they just took over, one by one, from Macedon to Egypt. Rome effectively ended the Hellenistic period by adopting its culture but providing a much more effective and brutal imperial management team. So, what's the legacy of this 300-year-long identity crisis? It wasn't the beautiful melting pot Alexander might have dreamed of. It was a pressure cooker. The attempt to force Greek culture on everyone often created the opposite effect. The Maccabean Revolt forged a fiercely independent Jewish identity that would profoundly shape the future of monotheism. The preservation of scientific and philosophical texts in places like Alexandria provided the foundation for later intellectual flowerings in the Roman and Islamic worlds. The Hellenistic period was, in many ways, a failure. But it was one of the most interesting and productive failures in all of human history, proving that what emerges from cultural conflict is often far more resilient than what existed before. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more historical insights. Thanks for watching, nerds!